God Consciousness, Chapter 23, Sex. The human who is writing this book for me, or rather, the human who is acting as my scribe and taking my dictation, recently was in a conversation with a female human who told him that what this book on God Consciousness needed was a section or chapter on sex, and that he needed to write one, a chapter or a section on sex, for the book. The human writing on my behalf, taking dictation as best he can, told her that he wasn't the only one writing the book and couldn't say whether or not such a chapter or section would be included, as he couldn't speak for me. But he did say that he thought that would be a good idea. He also pointed out to her that some of this subject had been dealt with in an earlier chapter in this book. She agreed that was true. However, neither one of them thought it was as specific as it could have been in regards to what she was getting at, which was that sex is natural, and surely God had something to say about this subject and maybe could clear up some of the mystery surrounding the question. So, what does God think about sex, anyway? I have heard this conversation between the scribe of this book and the female who was talking with him. I hear all the conversations that you have, that every one of you have had or will have. That is something for you to think over. Your actions, including those of the words you say and the thoughts you think. Well, I'm aware of all of them. I know all this stuff. I won't go on and on too long about how I am this stuff, anyway. But you get the general idea, I hope. And that is why I'm taking the time to write this book for you to read and to hear, if you are listening to the narrated version of this book, or reading it aloud to yourself or to others. I want you to get to know me a bit better. When it comes to sex, well, it is like any other action you take part in. You are to come from your inner being, from you, from who you really, really, really are. And if this action is congruent with me, and you, with us, then you will feel the freedom and joy and happiness that flows accordingly. It is very important that you understand that sex is a part of life itself. I have created life to be very, very exciting and interesting so that you can be very, very absorbed by life and lose track of me so that you can find me again. I like that self-discovery you go through and all the drama and so on that goes with that process of experiencing who you really, really are and what life is all about, and so on. For me, that is a part of our relationship, and it is very romantic, and yes, sexual too. I am very, very alive and real entity of consciousness and physicality. I have the biggest genitals in all of creation because every part of me is bleeping and bleeping some other part of me. I am the impulse of life and death and birth and death and so on, unto infinity. I know that the use of crude words will bother some of you, and I understand that. I'm okay with you being disturbed. Haven't you noticed how disturbing a giant asteroid smacking into your planet can be? Or how disturbing a seismic seaway can be? Etc. Sex is part of life. obvious how life gets made on your planet. It is a chemical reaction. Yes, I am telling you that basic chemical reactions are essentially a sex act. You could watch water being made and consider that a sex act. I know that for most of you that will be something of a stretch, but for me, it is perfectly obvious.